Hello, Lisa. Are you free? Can we have a talk in my office? Alright then, see ya. Hi, Lisa. Thank you for sitting down with me today. As you know, I've noticed that during the busy lunch rush, there are some challenges around multitasking that we can work on together. My goal for today is to help you become more efficient during these busy times, especially from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. when we have the $9 lunch deal. How does that sound?
That sounds great. I know I've been struggling a bit with managing everything during the lunch rush, especially when it gets really busy. I'm looking forward to learning some new strategies to help me stay on top of things.
Great. So let's start by talking a little bit about how you currently handle things when it gets busy. Can you walk me through what happens during the lunch rush? How do you typically manage the counter, taking orders and serving customers?
Sure, during the lunch rush, it can get pretty overwhelming. I start by greeting customers as they come up to the counter and taking their orders. But sometimes multiple people come at once, so I feel rushed. I try to get their orders into the register quickly, but then I often have to leave the counter to bring food or drinks to tables. I also find myself going back and forth between the counter and the kitchen trying to keep track of orders. I end up juggling a lot of things at once, and sometimes I forget something or get behind on a task.
Thanks for sharing that. I'm curious when you're juggling these tasks, working the counter, using the register, serving customers, and bringing food to the table. What do you find the hardest to manage?
I think the hardest part is trying to keep everything organized and staying on top of all the tasks at once. When the counters get busy, it's hard to focus on the register and making sure I enter the orders correctly while also trying to serve customers and deliver their foods. I often feel like I'm behind, especially when I have to leave the counter to bring foods to tables. It's hard to balance everything without feeling rushed.
That's really helpful to know. So let's dive into a few specific areas when you're working the counter and using the register. How do you keep track of what needs to be done? Are there any moments when things tend to slip through the cracks?
Honestly, I try to keep track of everything in my head, but sometimes it's hard to remember all the details, especially when there are multiple orders at once. I might get distracted with a customer asking a question or a new order coming in, and then I forgot to confirm the payment, or I might miss a drink or side item. I try to stay organized, but when it's really busy, it's thought to keep everything straight without writing things down or having a system.
I see. And when you're serving customers, how do you ensure you're providing good service while also staying on top of orders and tasks at the counter? Do you ever feel like there's too much to keep track of at once?
Yes, it definitely feels like there's too much to keep track of sometimes. When I'm serving customers, I try to be friendly and make sure they're taking care of it, but it's hard to stay focused on the counter and the register at the same time. I sometimes get caught up in chatting with customer or making sure they're comfortable, and then I forgot to check if their order has been entered or if someone else needs help. I want to provide good service, but it's hard to balance that with staying on top of everything else.
That's completely understandable. Now, when you're bringing meals and beverages to tables, what happens if you're in the middle of other tasks at the counter? How do you make sure you're still giving attention to both the customers at counter and the ones you're serving at the tables?
It's tricky because when I'm bringing food to the tables, I feel like I'm away from the counter for a while and I can keep an eye on the orders or the customers there. Sometimes I worry that I'll miss a new order or a customer might be waiting taking too long. I try to hurry back to the counter as soon as I can, but it's hard to make sure everything is still running smoothly when I'm split between the two areas. I don't want to neglect anyone, but it feels like there's not enough time to do everything properly.
Thanks for your insight. From what I'm hearing, it sounds like balancing multiple tasks during the lunch rush is a challenge. Let's talk about prioritizing tasks. When things get busy, how do you decide which task to tackle first?
To be honest, I usually just go with whatever feels most urgent in the moment. If there's a customer right at the counter waiting to order, I'll focus on them first, but sometimes I end up jumping back and forth between tasks depending on what seems most pressing. Like if an order is ready to be picked up, or if a customer needs their drink, I try to keep everything moving, but I don't always feel confident in what I should focus on first. It can be hard to decide, especially when everything feels like it's happening at once.
That makes sense. Sorry. And are there moments when you feel like you're focusing too much on one task and not leaving enough time for others? For example, do you sometimes feel overwhelmed when a customer needs assistance, but you're busy entering something into the register or delivering food?
Yes, definitely. Sometimes I get so focused on entering orders into the register or delivering food that I forgot to check on customers at the counter or answer their questions. I can get caught in one task and then feel like I'm neglecting others, which makes me feel overwhelmed. For example, if I'm entering an order and someone comes up in a question or needs their bill, I'll get flustered because I'm already in the middle of something else. I know I should be more aware of everything happening around me, but it's hard when I'm concentrating on a single task.
I appreciate your honesty. It sounds like time management is a big part of this. I want to make sure we set you up for success during these busy hours. What do you think will help you stay more organized and efficient, especially when juggling these tasks?
I think having a clearer system would really help. Maybe if I had checklists or a weekly prioritized task on my head, I could stay more organized. For example, if I could make sure orders are entered first before I start delivering foods, or have a set routine for checking in with customers while I'm at the counter. That might help. Also, maybe finding a way to break things down into smaller steps instead of trying to do everything at once would make it feel less overwhelming. A little more structure and some quick reminder could keep me on track.
Those are great ideas. I think something like having a clear, prioritized list of tasks or even using some shortcuts on the register could help you streamline things. Have you ever tried using a checklist or a mental plan for how you approach tasks during a busy time?
I haven't really used a checklist during the rush, but I've tried to keep a mental plan. The problem is, with everything happens so fast, I sometimes forget what I was supposed to do next or get distracted. I think having something physical to refer to, like a checklist, would definitely help me stay on track. It would be a good reminder to make sure I'm tackling things on the right orders and not skipping any important steps.
Another thing to consider is improving communication with the team. For example, if someone's waiting for your order, it might help to communicate with them quickly so they don't feel neglected while you finish a task. How do you feel about trying that?
That sounds like a good idea. Sometimes I feel like I'm juggling so many things at once that I forgot to check in with customers while I'm busy with other tasks. If I could quickly acknowledge them and let them know I'll be right with them, I think it would make me feel more comfortable and reduce the pressure on me. I definitely see how that could help keep things running smoother and make it easier to balance everything.
Okay, now let's talk about how we can track your progress. How would success look like to you? What would indicate to you that you've become more efficient at managing your tasks during busy hours?
Success for me would be being able to handle all the tasks more. Gonna Success for me would be being able to handle all the tasks more smoothly without feeling so overwhelmed. I'd like to be able to prioritize better, stay organized, and keep everything moving without missing steps or getting distracted. I think I'd know I'm making progress if I can handle multiple orders at once, stay up on the register, and still provide good service to customers without feeling like I'm forgetting something or rushing too much.
That's a great goal. Over the next week, let's focus on practicing a few of these techniques. We'll check in after a shift and talk about what worked and what we can improve. How do you feel about setting small goals each day during the lunch rush to help you stay on track?
I think setting small goals each day sounds really helpful. It will it will give me something specific to focus on and I can track my progress as I go. I like the idea of checking in after a shift too, so I can see what's working and what I need to adjust. It will help me stay motivated and make it feel less every make it feel less overwhelming if I break things down into smaller steps.
Perfect. I'm confident that with some small adjustments and some practice, we can get you feeling more in control during these busy hours. And remember, I'm here to support you if you ever feel stuck or need help with something specific. We'll work through this together. Sounds good?
That sounds great. I really appreciate your support and I'm excited to try out these new strategies. Having a plan and knowing you're here to help definitely makes me feel more confident. I'm looking forward to working on it and seeing how things improve.
Awesome. Let's make a plan for today's shift. We'll focus on setting priorities and communicating with customers efficiently. Let's check in after a few hours and talk about how it's going. Thanks for being open to this coaching session, Lisa. I'm excited to see you how you grow. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
Are you busy? Can we have a talk in my office?
Oh, sure.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to just give me a sec. Okay. Hi Lisa, I've been observing your progress over the last few days, particularly during our busy lunch period. I'd like to give you some feedback based on what I've seen. First, how do you feel things are going? Are there any areas when you feel you're struggling or improving?
I've been doing my best, but I do feel like I'm struggling during the busiest times. There's just so much going on, and it's hard to stay on top of everything. I think I could improve with better time management or maybe more practice with some of the tasks. Any tips you have would be great.
I noticed that you're really quick when working the counter. You're able to take orders efficiently and keep the register moving. That's great. Also, your interactions with customers are friendly and professional, which is exactly what we want. One thing I think we can work on is meal delivery. There were a couple of instances where meals took a bit longer to reach the tables because you were handling orders at the counter at the same time. In these cases, it might help to keep an eye on which meals are ready and prioritize delivering them first when you have a break between orders. Additionally, I noticed that while you're using the register well, sometimes there's a slight delay and when entering orders for returning customers. Perhaps we can go over the repeat order function again so you can process those quicker. Let's see how things are going now. I want to check in with you on the feedback I gave. Have you noticed any improvements in the meal delivery process? Do you feel you're able to juggle serving customers and delivering meals a bit better?
Yes, I've definitely noticed some improvements. I feel like I'm managing the meal delivery process much better now. I've been focusing on staying organized and it's been helping me juggle serving customers and delivering meals more efficiently. I'm still fine tuning some things, but I can definitely see the process.
Also, do you feel more comfortable using the register with the shortcuts I mentioned? Have you been able to speed up the process of entering orders or repeating past ones?
Yes, the shortcuts have been definitely helped. I feel a lot more comfortable using the register now, and I've been able to speed up entering orders. Repeating past order is much quicker too, and I'm not as slow as I was before. It's made a big difference, and I'm getting faster each day.
I've seen that you're staying calm under pressure, and that's a great skill. Your ability to manage customer interactions while keeping the line moving is definitely improving. Overall, you're making good progress, and I can see that you're focusing on being more organized when juggling all your tasks. As we discussed, the next step is to work on streamlining your meal delivery and improving speed with the register. For next time, let's aim to reduce the time between orders and delivery. Also, let's try a few practice runs on using the register shortcuts to speed up processing. I'll be checking in again later in the week to see how you're doing. How do you feel about today's session?
I think today went well. I feel like I made good progress and it was helpful to go over everything again. I appreciate the check ins and the feedback. I think today went well. I feel like I made good progress and it was helpful to go over everything again. I appreciate the check ins and the feedback. It definitely helps me stay on track. I'm feeling more confident about what I'm doing.
Let's schedule a follow-up session for Friday where we can revisit how things are going and make adjustment as needed. Keep practicing the steps we discussed and we'll build on those improvements. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Kianna.